Hello, everybody, and welcome to 30 Minute Thrive, your go-to podcast for anything and everything HR, powered by MRA, the Management Association. Looking to stay on top of the ever-changing world of HR? MRA has got you covered. We'll be the first to tell you what's hot and what's not. I'm your host, Sophie Bowler, and we are so glad you're here. Now it's time to thrive. Welcome, everyone. We're glad you're here today and spending some time with us to learn more about intern programs. I'm excited to introduce to you our guest, Courtney Lamers. She's our Senior Manager of Member Engagement here at MRA. And little fun fact about Courtney is she actually started out as an intern here at MRA, as did I, and worked her way up to Project Manager and to where she is now as Senior Manager of Member Engagement. And she did that all in just over 5 years. So I want to start out with a little fun question here today and do a little blast from the past. And that is, what is your favorite memory as an intern?
Oh, that's such a good question. Thanks for having me here too today. I'm excited to be back. I know it's a fun topic and especially a hot topic right now. Okay, favorite memory as an intern. I'm super fortunate because I've had a couple of different internship experiences. So I have quite a few memories, but I think one of my favorites was when I worked for a company and they had 80 interns in their entire program. So I had the chance to work with a couple of them on a project, and we worked on it. We went and volunteered for the day, and then we put a business case together for our company to reimburse that company and donate some of that money to the nonprofit. So we presented in front of the entire company, which it was a huge company, that we actually ran into the CEO when we were practicing, and he was like, "What time are you guys on?" And he ended up coming and watching our presentation, and we ended up winning the whole entire share tank is what they called it. And so it was just a very cool experience, and I'm still friends with both of the interns today. So I think the connections you make and just the opportunities you have to grow is so important. But I would say that was probably one of that really stands out to me. Like, I still remember it to this day. But how about you? I mean, you have had some internship experiences too. What's you throwing it back at me? Yeah, this is a two-way here, making you participate.
Well, like you said, I feel like I have a lot of memories as an intern. Not that it was that long ago, but I did experience my first true business trip as an intern, and that was super fun. I actually went with you.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And we got to meet some of our member companies and some of the interns participating in MRA's intern program, which was super fun. And then another one was just planning a tailgate event that we hosted here in the Wisconsin office at MRA. It was kind of an open house where members came and looked at our new facility, and that was just a fun event to plan and see it all kind of lay out.
So were both of those part of your internship itself, or do you think those were extra things that you got to work on just to make it a fun experience? Or like, what made it so special, I guess?
Well, I would say it's a little bit of both. They were part of my intern duties, but it was also a little extra kind of fun stuff too. But I think it helped to just kind of get away from my normal, like, I was a marketing intern, like event planning goes along with that. But business trips don't necessarily go along with that. So I think it was fun to just get involved in as many things as I could and as many projects with as many people as I could too.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think it's all about that experience.
Totally. Yeah. Well, it is a season to begin hiring interns, and it's something that's really circling employers' minds right now. And you actually created MRA's intern leadership program that we were just talking about. So can you tell us a little bit more about that for the people who may not be familiar with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this program was created really to help interns have an exceptional experience. So from an employer standpoint, we use it to help attract and retain interns. So some of the companies would put this on their website as hey, apply for our organization. We invest in your professional development. We really want you to have a great experience and grow yourself as a leader. So from an attraction standpoint, I think it really helped. And same with their retention. So they go through this program with almost 100 other interns, and they have the opportunity to network. So from an intern standpoint, you really get that professional development experience, plus that whole network of 100 other interns, plus all of the business leaders in our community. So it's about a 10-week program. We get together with the interns every week, really just giving them that real life experience and getting them a chance to get together and learn from each other as well. So from a company standpoint, it's the attraction and retention, and then providing that exceptional experience for the interns.
I'm just kind of taking a step back here. So companies are starting to look to hire interns right now. So where should they be looking, and how should they start hiring interns?
Yeah, I mean, definitely start early. I think time goes so quickly, and it's so easy to be like, oh my gosh, summer's around the corner. I really want an internship or an intern to help with some work. But I think it's important to kind of have that plan of what does that look like. I definitely think it's important to get involved in schools, whether it's a university or a tech school. Both have great opportunities to connect with students. And it's also good to reach out to those departments or student groups. I know, obviously, we're an HR professional organization. So we had our recruiting team just went to UW-Whitewater's SHRM group the other day. So I think it's important to connect with those professors, those student groups, and just the schools in general. Handshake is also a popular tool for internships. And then networking. I think asking your employees if they have any referrals, or, asking your kids' friends if they're looking for an internship. I think it really is about that network of the people that can, you always get a good referral from somebody that you know. And then lastly, I would just plug MRA. I know our recruiting team helped recruit interns last summer as well. So everything from the posting, the sourcing, and the screening, we can definitely help with that too.
Totally. And you just mentioned being active and available on college campuses, but I've also read and just seen that employers are looking as early as high schoolers too, which is crazy, but it's true. It's like the earlier you can get in front of people, honestly, the better at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think, every employer has talked about the war for talent and how hard it is to find talent. So the earlier you get in front of them and share what your business does, what different opportunities there are, that's who those students are going to remember in 2, 5, 10 years from now. So it's a long-term game for sure.
So let's say you're a company that's never really invested in interns, never had the opportunity. What is your advice on a company like that? Should they be looking into that, or interns for everybody? And what if it's like a super small company? That was a lot of questions.
It's all good. Well, I think, honestly, I don't think size really matters. I think you have to take a step back and say, why do I want an intern? Is it because we have so much work to do that we can't possibly do it by ourselves? Is it because you're truly looking to build that talent supply chain? So understanding that why first helps you build out your program. I think you also have to take a look at, do you have enough meaningful work for the interns? Because they're trying to get a good experience too. And I'm not saying you can't file paperwork. That's all part of the day-to-day work. But I think they need to have a capstone project or something that can help them build their resume. And I think from an employer standpoint, you'll be really surprised and happy with the quality of work that interns can do. And then lastly, I would say, do you have a manager or someone on your team that can take the time to help mentor and coach those interns? Just because a lot of them, it is their first job. So they're going to have questions and they want to do a good job. So they just have to have the resources to be successful. Honestly, I interned at a fairly small company. And I got to go on a work trip too. So again, another memory. I actually went down to New Orleans for the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. But I think because it was a smaller group that I was working with, I had the opportunity to do a lot of different cool projects that sometimes when you're at the bigger companies, it's so specialized. So I don't think size of the company really matters. But overall, I'd say it's important to understand like what your goals are.
Yeah, I was the only intern here too, and I have no complaints. Honestly, I feel like it was the best internship I could have had. Maybe it's because I got special treatment because I was the only one. But no, I think definitely having a capstone project helped, and even having a couple of them. It's like you can always have them in your back pocket. If you don't want to do a project that you're currently working on, pull out your capstone. Like, it's just nice to always have in your back pocket.
Well, and companies have gotten really creative with different projects interns can work on. Like, I know there was one company that had their interns go through all their standard operating procedures and document it. And it was a huge project to take on because they had nothing documented. But it really gave the intern a chance to be like, well, why do you do it like this? And just ask. And then being like, I don't know why we do it like that. And so to be able for that student to then go say, yeah, at my last company, I helped document our processes and, make recommendations for change. And I think he actually presented it to their senior leadership team, which was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, kind of going off of that, let's say a company has a group of interns, but they never have really created an intern program to go with the intern group. So what is your advice around that? Should there be a intern program that the interns follow?
I think structure definitely helps. When you take a step back, it really is all about the experience. But when you have somebody in one building and somebody in the other, you want them to have similar experiences. And I know we've talked to interns in the past where maybe one manager is really engaged and they buy their intern lunch and they buy their intern swag. And then the other one's like, I don't even know who my manager is. My manager doesn't talk to me. So I think it really is about putting that structure in place. So no matter what your manager is like or what projects you're working on, you have a similar experience. And I guess I would say that with all internships, the interns talk, especially with social media and that type of thing. Your brand is out there with your experience. So really take a look of what do you want your interns to be saying to other interns and to their families at night and their roommates and whoever they're talking to. It really puts your brand out there. The other thing I would say is if you can onboard all of the interns together, I think that would be very beneficial because you kind of build a bond when you start working on the same day as someone, even if you're in a different department. So it gives them an opportunity to, be together and really start fresh and have that same experience. I would also say if you can have if you have multiple interns, if you can give them an opportunity to work on a project together, maybe that's not specific to their department, but could help the business as a whole. I think that could be a really fun way to get them together too.
Oh, totally. I feel like interns want to meet each other and want to be like friends outside of work too. So that's a good idea. So I guess I'm curious to know your 5 core tools that you would kind of put together that all intern programs should have. And we can start with the first one, but what would you say that is?
I'd say first and foremost, the manager is the most important piece of this. So from an HR standpoint, you probably have managers coming to you saying, I need an intern. And I think that's great. And maybe they do, and maybe they have a plan and they had a great internship experience. But we talked about this earlier today, is people don't quit their job, they quit their manager. So, and especially at that intern level, they want an opportunity to learn, to get coaching, to have that mentorship experience. So you really have to have that right person in place to help manage and coach those interns. The feedback part of an internship is also very important. And I know we've talked about this. I think it's so easy, and like you started and you did a great job from day one. And it's so easy to just like have that expectation that everything you do is going to be great. And I got into the habit of saying like, great, thanks, I appreciate it. Like everything's perfect, like looks good. And you were like, I know, but can you give me something more specific? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. And like, I think about myself too. Like I would want specific feedback of what am I doing right? And what is so great about it? And I think it helped you kind of build on top of what you were doing right. I don't know if you're totally you want to say on that.
Oh, well, I was just going to go off that, like, especially at the intern level, you're trying to learn as much as you can and you want to know what can I get better at and what am I doing that's okay. So it's like that feedback is so important at an intern level. So it's like you can fix whatever you're doing wrong, or not wrong, I should say, but
like that you're going to improve on.
Yeah, at the intern level, so that just as you continue to grow, you don't have to worry about those anymore.
Yeah, and I know we were talking to one company and they were raving, and you were with me, they were raving about how great their interns were, and their CEO said something about like, wow, I was really impressed with the interns this summer. And I was like, oh, did they know that? Like, did you tell the interns how great they were? They were like, I don't know if we ever did.
Think about that.
I was like, I think you should tell them. I think they would really like that feedback. And especially the CEO said how impressed that she was with them. It's such a cool experience. And for the intern to really carry that confidence with them on something that everybody else knows, but maybe they don't know.
Absolutely. So what about the second tool?
Yeah. I think meaningful work is a huge piece of it. I know companies sometimes will be like, I'll just get an intern and help me file paperwork. And that's great. And like we said, it's part of the job sometimes. but the meaningful work really helps the interns learn and grow. And I would also say they're capable of doing more than just filing paperwork. So don't let them hold that back. I would also give them a meaningful project to work on all summer. We talked about that capstone project. What we did with you is we created, I think, 3.5 pages of things that I never got to, some of the other people on our team never got to. And it was like, it'd be awesome if this could get done. We'd be like, here you go, and just kind of let you run with it, because at this rate we weren't getting to it. So it would be an extra benefit for you to be part of it. When they accept an internship, they have 3 different opportunities to have an internship. So they get to be picky. They're really in the driver's seat. And so I'm just saying, like, I saw interns that were at a company for like a week, 2 weeks, and they were like, I got a different internship experience, I'm leaving. So even before the program and during the program, and then even after the program, if you want to retain them, it's so important to make sure that you're providing the best experience no matter what. So I think the meaningful work is huge. And we've also talked too, like, people have said, I'm bored, my manager's in a meeting, I don't have nothing to do. And they go talk to other people. And some people don't take the initiative to do that either. But don't let your interns be bored. Like, you're paying them to help with stuff. And I think they are capable of so much.
Oh, yeah. You just talked about the 3 pages
Oh my God.
notes that you gave me, or projects that you gave me. And I will say, I told you on the first day, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get any of this done? Like, I remember going home like, man, I got 3 pages. But then by the end of my internship, it was like, man, I was able to complete 85% of that. Or even if I did 50%, it's like, look at how much I did. And it wasn't that intimidating when I looked at it at the end of my internship. And it was nice to be like, oh, well, I could go work on this project with this department. Or, oh, look at this project, it's with IT. So it wasn't just my typical marketing projects. It was a good realm of.
Yeah, maybe a note to managers, create that list, but don't share it on the first day. We might have even sent it to you before. Like, look at all these fun projects. You're probably like, oh gosh.
No, but it was a good thing to be like, this is all of the things that you can accomplish in your internship in just the short summer that we have.
Well, and think about how much you did that wasn't even on that list. It would be like, you'd be working on item number 8, and it'd be like, Sophie, I need help with this. Like, you get this done in the next couple hours, and you're like, oh yeah, of course. And so it's like, you did so much more than even that list, which is cool to see.
Yeah. So just moving on, how about the third tool?
The third tool I would say is help the interns explore the business. I remember for myself, I wanted to learn as much as possible, even beyond marketing. And I remember being a sophomore in college and kind of getting to the point of them saying, like, you need to declare your major. And I'm like, okay, like, business, I guess. Like, I don't know. And I ended up picking marketing, but not really for any reason besides somebody had told me one time, like, I think you'd be good at marketing. And I'm like, well, I guess that sounds good. And then I had a couple marketing internships, and I really liked different aspects of it. And I think all of the experiences I've had have led me to where I am today. But it's been that ability to work on projects outside of my department and being able to work with other leaders. And I think that's something we hear too from interns, even like, for example, with HR. It's like, okay, I'm an HR major, but there's so much to HR. Like, there's the compliance side, there's the benefits side, there's recruiting. And a lot of HR interns tend to do recruiting or filing. And they're like, I don't even know how to explore the other areas of HR. So being able to give them as many opportunities as they can to just sit in meetings with people or help with projects or have lunch with the CEO if it's possible. But really, I know we've said it a million times today, but they just want to learn and have different experiences to help them grow.
Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe someone in IT ends up wanting to be in finance or something. Mm-hmm. It's like internships are there to, like you said, help interns learn more about the company and learn more about themselves too.
It cracked me up during one of our intern program business case discussions and presentations. We did one about accounting and finance for the non-financial leader. And I kind of teed it up. It was with our CFO. And I was like, this is not my area. Like, I'm more like creative, that type of thing. And like marketing, you know, whatever. Like, this, it's okay if this isn't your thing, but it's good for everyone to learn and get exposure to. And then we were meeting with a company, and one of the marketing interns was like, that was my favorite session. And she's like, I might switch my major. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, who knew? You know, like, you just don't know. It's that exposure and experience that gives people the clarity of what they need for their careers.
Oh, absolutely. So then going on to the fourth tool, what would you say?
Networking is the other piece. I think giving them an opportunity to meet people, both internally at your company, obviously within your own department, but other leaders in other areas of the business, but also other interns too. And honestly, like, there is one company that he took it on himself to take every intern to one networking event. And I know he was like, we had a lot of interns last year, so I brought 2 of them with me to one of them. And I was like, I made it a competition. Go talk to as many people as you can, and whoever wins, I can't remember if they got lunch or something like that. But they really just want to network. And I think it's hard because, especially if you think of COVID and the last couple of years with school being virtual and that type of thing, it's not an easy thing to do. So if you can be there and help mentor and help guide and just give them those opportunities, meeting people will really just allow them to grow in their careers. And I think I look back to the people that I've worked with in my last couple internships, and I still talk to a lot of them. I mean, like, think about how many people you're still connected with from the intern program and just our member companies as well.
I was going to say, just a mini plug for the MRA's intern program. Again, you're given over 100 interns right there that you're automatically connected with. So it's like you don't really have to go out and do that extra step of really like introducing yourself, finding, I mean, you still have to do that, but they're all right there and you see them every single week. So
plus the business leaders. I mean, we have a different presenter every week of the program and all of the panels. I mean, overall, they probably met 30 other business leaders. That I just think it's a cool experience. And no matter what you can do to provide those experiences for them is huge.
Mm-hmm. And I've still been in contact with a lot of people from the intern program from a couple of years ago. Even help on my college project. One of them was able to help me out. And we're still talking to a few of them now too. So that's always fun.
That's very cool.
But I guess, what is the last thing that every intern program should have in order to be successful?
Yeah, I think, we covered the main pieces, but I think when an intern has a great experience and when they're going into an internship, especially going into like their last year of school, they want to know, what does the future look like? Do I have a place here? Do I not? And I think it's good to be open from the beginning. I mean, I know when we interviewed you had said, like, is there a possibility of a full-time role after the internship is over? And I think we were pretty honest with you, but we continued that conversation throughout the summer. And then obviously once it got closer, we were pretty adamant that we were able to offer you something before you went back to school. Just because, like we said earlier, you have so many choices nowadays, and you really are in the driver's seat, and you made such an impact that we didn't want to lose you. And we wanted to be flexible, that we could work around your school schedule and you could work on projects and just keep you engaged throughout the school year that you wanted to come back. So I think having those conversations is huge. But I would also say, we talked about feedback from the manager to the intern, but I would say I would ask them too, like, for feedback. There's a lot of companies that halfway through the program, HR sits down with the interns and say, like, what's working, what's not, how's your manager, what do you need from us? And having those conversations. So, after week 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever it is, they leave and they do their exit interview and you're like, wow, this person had a horrible experience. I wish I would have known earlier. And it's a two-way street. So I think just having those conversations is huge. But I guess, so I went through 5 things and I think we covered a lot of it. But like, thinking back to your internship experience, was there anything I was missing, like, that I didn't cover, that you said was either, I wish you guys would have done this, or maybe like you did this really well, but we didn't touch on this? Or did we cover it all?
I feel like we covered a lot. All great stuff. I would just say, like you said, to be very clear with the intern and have a good working relationship between the manager and the intern. I feel like that's almost make it or break it. If you don't have a good relationship with your intern, chances are it's not going to be a great internship for them. So I would just say, be very open and honest with them and provide feedback as much as you can. And yeah, everything else we said.
Covered it all.
We did. But as we wrap up here, do you have any last bits of advice or any last pieces to share with us?
I have a few little things. I know we talked a lot about that experience as an intern, but I just want to kind of remind employers, keeping them engaged after you give them an offer and keeping that excitement going is almost as important as getting them there, because if they don't show up on the first day, you have to start over. So really think about that excitement and that communication with them beforehand. And then just a couple little tactical things, but when we had our first internship program, I remember like one of the first weeks we asked them, like, what could your company do better? You know, we just want to provide some feedback. And I think like half of them were like, I don't even have my manager's cell phone number. Like, I just want to be able, like, if I get a flat tire, to call them and say like, hey, I'm not going to make it. Like, I'm going to be a little bit late, or I'm not feeling well today, or whatever it might be. Just to have that phone number and that contact information is huge. And from an employer standpoint, it's such an easy win. Like, I don't think they're not going to contact you unless they need to. So, and
it almost gives them like, it builds some trust. Yeah. Like, hey, like, here's my phone number. I'm here whenever you want, like, whenever you need to reach me. And it's like a little more personal than just like, here's my email. Yeah. Email me whenever. It's like, no, call me.
Yeah. Text me if you need to. Yeah. I know there's one company that the CEO gave out the intern or their phone number, and they were like, we're excited to have you intern this summer. Here's my phone number. Call me if you need anything. And I'm pretty sure the intern never called, but it's kind of like, wow, the CEO really cares about me. And so kind of a cool touch if you're willing to do that. The last thing I would say is think about what they need to know. And again, a lot of them, this might be their first experience. And I remember when you emailed me and were like, what do I wear? I was like, that's such a good question. Like, we never even told you, like, we're business casual. Like, you can wear whatever you're comfortable with, but we do dress business casual. And it's like, I don't know, you just don't, you don't know those things, and you don't want to mess up from the first day. And I give you a lot of credit for asking, but that should have been on the back of our minds to tell you too. So
it's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what do I wear? What's your phone number? But lastly, I would just say, when you're going through this program, just look at the entire experience as a whole. It's all about the experience, and you really want to leave that lasting impression with the interns.
Absolutely. Great ending advice.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for being a great guest today and really sharing your knowledge on how companies can either begin or enhance their intern programs. So if you liked our chat and topic today, make sure you share this episode, leave a comment or review, and consider joining MRA if you aren't a member already. We have all the resources you need in the show notes below, so make sure to take a look at those, including Courtney's email and LinkedIn profile in the show notes. So if you want to get in touch with her or learn more about the MRA's intern leadership program, she's the girl to contact. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in today, and thanks for all the great info, Courtney, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up our content for this episode. Be sure to reference the show notes where you can sign up to connect for more podcast updates. Check out other MRA episodes on your favorite podcast platform. And as always, make sure to follow MRA's 30-Minute Thrive so you don't miss out. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Wednesday to carry on the HR conversation.